All right, listen. What's up, friends of the good mood? This is Manni, and welcome back. The old intro to War Robots with a massive rebalance to all our War Robots weapons and robots. Now, the challenge will be in this video to keep the good mood going. Let's see how well we can manage that, because we have a whole changing game at our hands now. Basically, the game will be a different one after this. So we get the new Titan Bjorn with its Hugin and Munin weapon and the pilot Sigrid Solmer. We get the Bifrost battleship, or Bifrost. We get the Leech and Ultimate Edition Leech and Tulumbas. We get the pilot Einar Stalson for it. New title Adamant. New hangar access, deploy any robot from all your hangars. Remember last week's test server session? Good change, by the way. Operations rework. Advanced audio at hit indicator settings. Oh, I love those hit indicators. Awesome change. I love that. Global rebalance, and that rebalance part is the big thing, okay? So let's go for it. We have the new Titan Bjorn. You already know it from the test server gameplay, and you also see the special edition skin that will be ready or coming with it. It looks fantastic, great design. I didn't actually enjoy playing it much on the recent test servers, but I'm sure it's gonna be strong once it comes into the live server, as usual, right? It has 2 alpha, 2 beta weapons. It's a tank titan, and it's gonna be hard to take down. These weapons here have only 350 meters range. These Hugin and Munin weapons, and they do a lot of damage and they lock you down, but the range is gonna be a limiting factor. Not sure how much you will like them, or I will like them, because of the range, right? Typically, we use Titans for have a very effective medium range, but these weapons have no medium range at all. Then we have the pilot giving it protection in bear stance increased, and strength of the spirit. It's like 13% more durability. Sorry. In ball form, the Titan's built-in weapon apply the lockdown effect. Alright, so that's also the third effect. Bifrost battleship, we already know it. It basically provides you with some sort of resistance stack, right? I think. Defense points. Yeah. Ultimate Leech is pretty clear also. We've had it. And then the Ultimate Tulumbas. I love the Ultimate Tulumbas. I wish I have them when they come. But I'm not sure if I will get some of those. Einar Stolzen for the Leech will restore durability and grants additional durability when it drops to a critical level. Definitely probably the best pilot for... question, can you also put him on the regular Leech? I think you can, right? It's not only for the Ultimate Leech. Then we have the all hangar access, which is very easily explained. You can have robots in any of your hangars, including Titans, and you can spawn them within the battle, but you can still only spawn 5 robots and 1 Titan, right? You can't now suddenly spawn 20 robots. Then operations is changing. I'm skipping that. We have advanced audio settings, where you can now change different things across not just 1 slider or 2. And the hit indicators now show you how much damage you're doing in this moment to an enemy, and even dividing shield damage versus regular actual damage, and so on. Pretty awesome. Then we have a completely changing tier system. So the Blitz tier 4 will, for example, be a tier 3 epic item. From legendary to epic status, it will basically be a less valuable robot now. And the same will happen from tier 4 to 3 with the Auchun, the Ares, Behemoth, the Blitz, Hades, Fenrir. Fenrir even will only be an epic robot after this. Invader, Leech, and Phantom. And I must say, some of those robots were... it's like surprising that they even were considered tier 4 for so long, right? Avalanche also, in terms of weapons. Fainter, Glacier, I'm just saying the regular weapon. The Cryo and Rhyme are also in there. Puncher, Redeemer, Skadi. The fact that Skadi was considered legendary is such a joke, right? A Scourger, Incinerator. Hey, and by the way, so far, good mood, still good. Good job, Manni. But we haven't gotten to the bad part yet, so we'll see how that will maintain. Incinerator, Viper, and Volt. Viper and Weber Gauss, right? So they will no longer be tier 4. I'm worried what this means for the balancing, because we're coming to the numbers in a minute. Hello, Thumbnail. that picture is so awesome, I will immediately use it for a thumbnail. Perfect, saves me some work. And you see already a buff for why am I Nether, Raven, Sirius Titan, Arthur, and wow, even the Onion Titan will get a buff. The Rook. Incredible, I did not expect that, but we'll see about the numbers in a moment. A nerf for Hurricane and, what's the name of this one? I forgot. Then the Condor, Dux Robot, Raptor Robot, and the, unterribly annoying, Ruiner Titan, as I always call it, but it's not a Ruiner Titan. Dang it, what's the name? The Anguisher. Ruiner Anguisher is the weapon. What's the Titan name? Come on. I can't believe I can't get the Titan. Mauler. Dang it. Alright, so, starting with the Dux robot. Excuse me. The reduced companion bot damage, minus 50% damage from all your drones. Now remember that the Dux robot basically did most of its damage just from those drones. It's ridiculous. Minus 50% is gonna make a ridiculous difference in terms of its altogether damage output. And a difference that it should have never had to begin with. It should never have done this kind of damage in the first place. But this is Warabots, right? Introduced way too powerful so that you have to nerf it later. There's no way across this unless you have a power curve that goes like this for the next release. And the accuracy on the bots will be increased though, and reduced bonus to movement speed from Mastermind. So it will be not 40% faster when you use the Mastermind ability, only 20%. So it loses some of its mobility. But that part is not going to be so different. This is the big part. And it will make a huge difference, especially when fighting Titans with it. Condor. Increase the duration. What? They increased the flight duration? What? From 12 to 14 seconds. Okay, but we haven't seen the rest. Mark 3 bonus damage against Titans is increased from 1.5 to 1.9 times the damage. So you'll have a longer ability and you'll do a significantly increased damage against Titans, specifically at Mark 3 bonus. Reduce the amount of both green and gray durability repaired by losing one shield while in Celestial Voice ability. And 60% to 25%. So the HP restore is incredibly far reduced. So basically what this means, if a Condor flies now, you'll be able to just kill it in the air, right? It will still restore some health and it will still take some extra effort to drop it compared to, let's say, a Seraph or some other robots that fly. But it will be so much easier to drop now, and you'll see that if two people shoot the Condor when it flies now, it just goes down, right? So that's gonna be crazy. It's a big difference. And the built-in weapon damage minus 40%. So while they increase the bonus damage against Titans, they reduce the built-in weapon damage altogether by minus 40%. So that completely cancels any increased damage against Titans that you would have had from this. And it also means that any regular robot will just take 40% less damage, period. Reduce base movement speed while in the air from 50 to 35. So it's basically like a Siren or Harpy in the air now. It's gonna be super slow. Remember the Fafnir nerf? When it flew super fast and then it was slow as heck. It's almost that. It's almost that, man. It's gonna be slow now. Bagliore Titan, robot, sorry. The Bagliore robot. Durability increased 15% and reduced translocator lifetime from 30 to 20 seconds. So you'll have to throw the translocator more often. I think the cooldown starts once it's used or time ran out, so you'll basically do it more often. But you get more durability, which is crazy because the Bagliore already has a lot of HP, but it's the slowest robot of all. So what I would have liked to see here, Pixonic, is to give it some movement speed. Not much, but maybe 5 kilometers per hour more. That would have made a big difference, because this robot is so slow. The only way to move it on the map is literally by using the translocator. It's the only way to move this thing. It's basically a bunker that can teleport. So, without being an actual bunker, it's not even... It has very little resistance while being in its translocator phase. Excuse me. Yeah, so I wish to have seen some more mobility here. But overall, I think it's a buff. The Raptor increases combat splash duration from 5 to 7 seconds. Okay, it's not much difference. The increased durability of 15% sounds good at first, but reduced amount of damage blocked by reflector 60 to 40%. So you can actually deal damage to it now in this reflector, a significant amount. And reduce the amount of damage returned by the reflector from 30 to 15%. So even the consequences of shooting it is much lower now. Reduce jump range and height. And this, we've seen it on the test server. Instead of jumping like halfway across the map, it will barely jump over a small building now. It doesn't even jump over the building anymore, you just jump onto it. It's a small teeny tiny jump. Note, previous description of Comet Splash was incorrect. Raptor blocked 60% incoming damage while using its ability, not 70% as description suggested. The reflector also returned 30% instead of 20. Okay. Pathfinder robot. Reduced track cooldown from wow, okay, so 10 seconds now. Remember, you get tracked, and if you have the Pathfinder, the drone, you track for not 5 seconds, I think you track the enemy for like 7 seconds. And then after the 7 seconds, the enemy gets a 5 seconds resistance against being tracked. So basically what it means, you have a 12 seconds time window in which the affected robot is no longer be trackable. Now before it was so that you could just use the ability again and you'll be past the immunity against it. Now they reduce the cooldown, which means if you do use the drone and you track for 7 seconds, now you'll try to retract the enemy, but he's still gonna be immune. So you have to think about that when you're using the ability immediately again. If you hit a different robot with it, it makes no difference, and it just means you have it more often. Good change. But if you're trying to track the same robot twice, you'll probably hit it in his resistance and you're wasting your ability. Keep that in mind. Reduced durability, minus 25%. What? Why does it lose 1/4 of its... I just spit against the screen. Uh-oh, the mood is already running away. I can feel it. Minus 25% durability on the Pathfinder. Dude, this has never been a very durable robot. It was always a bit of a fragile one. Why do you remove that much from it? And movement speed from 50 to 47. Okay, not too much, but this thing here, I don't like it. The Pathfinder was not particularly durable. I don't understand. Nemesis. Increased the duration of the absorber phase of retribution from 2 to 4 seconds. Was it 2? Wait, are you saying it only had a 2-second shield? That's not true. It had always more. Or wait, the duration of the absorber phase. It's the time in which you gather incoming damage against your shield to return with a higher damage output coming from your Nemesis rockets. I see. That's a good change. Increase the weapon damage of the built-in weapons by 7%. It's good. It's very low though. Increase the limit of bonus damage that can be provided by the absorber by 7%. Okay, so you can strengthen the retribution damage more. You have a longer time in which you can gather damage, and you have a bigger impact damage altogether with the built-in weapons. It's just a bit of an artificial thing here. Oh, we need to increase the amount of things in this list. Let's put the Nemesis on with tiny things. Doesn't change much, but it's still a good change. A Raven, reduced double jump cooldown from 18 to 16 seconds. That's good. That's really good. Increased durability by 10%. That's awesome too. I like that. I like the Raven altogether, and maybe I'll pack it a little bit more often now. And some other people might also give it a try, right? This is the chance that Pixonic always has with the rebalance to bring robots that were dead, that nobody played ever, back into the meta. It's not going to be meta, but maybe you see a few of them more from time to time. Spectre. Increased movement speed from 53 to 55. Reduced descent cooldown from 20 to 18. So you have your stealth ability 2 seconds more often. Alright. Tier Robot. Assault mode increased physical shield durability by 10%. Repair mode increased amount of repairable durability by 6%. Interesting. I never really ran the tier. It was never really that attractive to me to begin with. That is not going to change it, but it's definitely a good step in the right direction. The Raker will get more durability, 13%, and the cooldown will lose 1 second from 10 to 9. So that's good. But Raker is a really fragile. A bit of an HP increase, I think, would have helped the Raker, actually. Pursuer, increased movement speed bonus from 33 to 37. Alright, not bad. But again, it's just like one of those, alright, we need something in this list, so, there it is, right? Haichi, increased Ansel shield capacity from 12. I like that they call it the Ansel shield, because it has never been an Ansel shield. It has just been an energy shield. The Ansel is the name for the actual shield that you put on top of your Lancelot, for example. That was called the Ansel shield. They just call it the Ansel shield on the Haichi now. Interesting, but we know what they mean. 12% more shield, why not, right? Good. Durability 7%, why not? It's a non-ultimate robot that gets a buff. I'm all for that, right? I love that. Strider, reduced cooldown from 10 to 9. Awesome. The Strider dashes really took a long time to regenerate, considering how small of a bonus they are. Also here, a little bit more HP would have really been a useful thing. Such a fragile little thing. The Bulgazari increased its shield durability by 10%. And the increased durability altogether, 13%, will help the Bulgazari for sure. Also, non-ultimate buff. Love it. Right? Good job, Pixonic. Nether. Increased damage bonus from 10 to 20% from the little lightning that it does with each dash. And increase movement speed from 53, 55. Okay, now we're coming to the nasty parts. Although I would say that this will make the game more playable. But the nasty part is to just have to nerf something that was previously sold for money to people, and that is not okay. Mauler, increased durability, 10%. Movement speed goes higher from 40 to 42, but the reduced defense point from 250 to 200 when fully upgraded is a big difference. Reduce the duration of the hook effect, during which incoming damage is converted to dot, from 10 to 6 seconds. Massive difference. So now there's a much larger time span in which you can actually deal damage to the Titan Mauler now, and it will no longer be almost invincible for all the time. With the fact that this even was like that to begin with, a Titan that is almost invincible pretty much all the time, how could anybody even implement it like this? It just boggles my mind, and it just destroys the game so much. Reduced resistance to dot damage from 75 to 50%. So you'll convert less time to dot damage, and the dot damage conversion will kick in much lower, so the resistance, so you'll take more damage even through that. So massive difference. And remember, this is something I always want to add, this is the first phase. Often Pixonic brings in multiple phases of nerfs, so it basically means that there might be another nerf coming in another later time that will hit that Mauler even more. Similar to what we've seen with Luchadors, with Rooks, and other Titans that have been nerf hit multiple times until they were essentially useless or close to being useless. Luchador thankfully remains somewhat useful most of the time, but it also had a comeback with a later buff, right? There was a time when the Luchador was almost dead too. Bersagliere Titan reduced the jump cooldown from 74.7 to 4.5. Wow, so you'll be much more mobile with this thing. This thing can just jump all the time now and move across the map extremely quickly. Super awesome, that part, but increase the built-in weapon damage, 30% more damage from the Bersagliere bow. You gotta be careful about this, because this actually hits you really, really hard now. It can decimate your Titan in a matter of seconds if you don't know you're getting shot by that bow. And there isn't really a particularly, loud noise to getting shot by it. Often you don't notice that this happens, and then you're suddenly dead. So these two things are massive buffs for the Bersagliere, but reduced durability of minus 35%. Goodbye, health. 1 million HP is now 700,000. Goodbye. Wow, what a nerf, dude. What a nerf. Why not make it minus 90, Pixonic? Just let it run and be a one-shot for every regular robot. Why not? Yeah. So this is basically becoming a glass cannon now. It's dangerous to get shot by it, but if you want to kill it, it just dies, you know? Wow, 35%. Remember that all the bonus damage, bonus HP we get from its HP pool will be reduced along with that, so it's a ridiculous difference. And this isn't even the type of Titan that carries the match right now, you know? It's not really the type of Titan that destroys our game health. Wow, that is a nerf. Reduce damage bonus from fatigue effect 2 to 1.2. What's the... What? What is that? The fatigue effect? So wait, if you got shot by the Bersagliere bow, it applied a fatigue effect onto you? I must have missed that part. And that will allow you to do double damage against the target. And this is now only 1.2%, like a 20% increase on damage now, instead of 100%. From 100% more damage to 20% more damage from this effect. Wow, dude, these two hit so hard. These two are nice, but this kills it. Nodens, reduce disposal cooldown, 2 seconds faster. Increase the durability repair to self from 1% to 9%. Wow, the Nodens is gonna repair itself incredibly much more than before. That's good, I like that. Increase the durability of durability repair to allies from 5 to 6% per second. So even that is a noticeable change, but the self-heal, yeah, it's good that the Nodens actually gains health himself too. Wow, super amazing. Arthur, increased durability from 15%, increased physical shield durability 8%. Those two are awesome. Increased defense points from 170 to 185. Great, Arthurs are really going to be tanky again. It's not much, actually, if you look at it, and also the fact that the Arthur is kind of a joke. I think you could have given the Arthur a 100% durability shield bonus, and it would still lose its shields quickly, looking at the amount of firepower that comes from other Titans and robots these days. And remember that many weapons will not even get blocked by the physical shield. It's crazy. The Rook will get a buff. Increased damage from the power field, Castling, 12%, okay. Increased durability to all physical shields except the two on the backside by 6%. Why this exception? I don't think it would have made any difference to not exempt them from this. I don't know, it seems super random to accept. But okay, so 6% more across all shields. Increase the amount of durability repaired for each destroyed shield. How much? Okay, from 40,000 to 45,000. Wow, 45. So 5,000 more durability per shield that was destroyed. That you will not even feel any of change at all from this. So call this a big buff? I don't know. There is no durability buff. There is no like an actual durability increase. There's no real increase to the amount of HP that the shields have. 6%. Not, you know, they fall off after 2 shots. So what's that increase, by the way? If that was 50%, I would talk about actual buff. So hard to call this a big buff, really. Newton, movement speed from 41 to 43% kph, or kilometers per hour. Yeah, it's good. Okay, two more. Increase built-in weapon damage by 10%. So the sniper gun from the Newton. All right, not bad. Aether, increased Skyward durability, 2 seconds longer flight, and increased regular durability by 7%. You know, if you really want to buff the Aether Titan and give it something, you need to actually make it block damage in the air. Right now, it just gets shot down. It's supposed to block damage. That's how it functions, similar to the Seraph fly. But what's the real meta? Right now, if you fly up in the air with a Aether or Seraph, you just get shot down in the air, despite this being the time where you should be very resistant to damage. But it's not. So that's what a buff would look like, to give it the reflector or this blocking aspect much higher. Sirius Titan, increased damage of the remote assault turret, both when deployed and undeployed by 15%. Yo, this thing already did damage before, now it does even more. Maybe we have to give the Cyrus a spin. Increase the amount of durability repaired by the remote turret while it is undeployed 5-6% per tick. Undeployed. Why not deployed? Okay. Not much of a change. Increase durability 9%. We will feel that. That's okay. But you see, right? Nerf minus 35% durability. Buff plus 7% durability. Yay, what a difference. Or plus 9. Weapons. Smite and Discipline. Okay, here we go. Increase damage by 5%. Increase splash radius from 3 to 7 meters. What? That is ridiculous of an increase. Can you put the blast effect of a pilot skill on there? Dude, we might have to test this. Reduce blast charge accumulation 44 to 20. So you'll bump blast charge less often. And increase reload time from 4 to 8 seconds. Wow, what this means is bye-bye damage per minute. With this one change, the damage per minute across the match has been reduced by, well, we can't say 50% because a lot of the time you spent with the weapon is actually firing the weapon. But reloading is a 50%, basically 100% increased reload speed. And that reduces the damage per minute of your weapons drastically. It is a massive change. And one where I wouldn't even say it's like not justified. The weapon did overperform drastically, but whose fault is that, right? So, Pixonic, this is a massive change that would have been unnecessary if you just did your job correctly at the beginning. But I know you understand that your job differently. Your job is to earn money and to sell it as broken as it needs to be to generate as much money as it can do, right? So this is your perspective. My perspective as a YouTuber who loves this game is to want to make the game function and run as smooth and fun as possible. And that basically excludes weapons to overperform drastically. And from my perspective, having this be necessary is a Armutszeugnis in German. It is very sad. It is a really, really sad proof of a very wrong state that War Robots is in. Howler, Screamer, Growler, increased burst interval from 1.65 to 1.3. Wait, you mean like the fire rate, huh? The fire rate from 1.6 to 1.3? Yeah, I think we've seen that on the test server. I fired with it on the test server and I felt that basically your fire rate is now only half as fast. So you'd basically lose 50% of your damage output with these weapons. Just like that. And, you know, they could just say damage done by the weapon minus 50%. This is an alternative way to do the exact same thing. Keep the burst interval, but just make it do 50% less damage. They don't want to write that here. They don't want you to see the number minus 50% damage. They don't want you to see that because they know you will be angry because you bought this stuff and now it's only half as good. That's War Robots in a nutshell, basically. But they just call it differently. They say the burst interval has increased. Because it sounds different, but it's the exact same nerf as saying minus 50% damage. Just so that you know what is being done to you, by the way. My mood is dropping. And also, I want to use this opportunity to say, guys, please, don't buy things in this game anymore. Do not invest. Play the game free to play and enjoy the heck out of it as much as you can, but understand that you will get dominated by those who buy stuff, right? They will just stomp on you. They will just squish you like an ant, because this is how the game monetizes itself. They sell power, and then every other person who is not doing that same is cannon fodder to you. And if you need that, then feel fine, just drop whatever you need into the game. But I'm telling you, stop investing if you get hit by that. If this hurts you, and the fact that what you got is now 50% less effective, just learn from it, please. Do not invest in the game. Just spend not a single cent until Pixonic changes the way they monetize power in the game, okay? Until they get to a point where they will sell new things that are attractive but not completely game-breaking, so that we all know there's gonna be a little rebalance coming, but it doesn't hit so hard. That's my problem, Pixonic. The rebalances hit too hard because it was too broken. Aramis Porthos Athos. Increased amount of damage returned as repairs from 30 to 40%. Wow, you do 40% of the healing that you do damage with. That is crazy good, actually, right? Just think about that. But the weapons themselves, they don't heal gray damage, so it's kind of, you know, you just repair to your... Typically in the game nowadays, you often die because your gray HP cannot be restored any further. At least with these weapons. Reduce damage by minus 15%. Why? The weapons weren't damaging before. They didn't do a lot of damage. I don't think it was necessary considering how other weapons performed. Alright, let's not get hung up on that one. Hurricane and Dune. Dune is the weapon name that I looked was before. Increased damage 20%. What? They give it more damage. Okay, but the range goes from 1,100 meters to 600 meters. So now, it is basically a 2.0 version of Vortex still, right? It is basically the same as Smite and Discipline. So why would I want to run Hurricane Dune if I can run Smite and Discipline at pretty much the same range? That is probably the more powerful weapon. What's the thought process here, Pixonic? To make these weapons that had they had their own specific purpose, fire from afar without having to expose yourself, and now they basically made it so that it covers the same exact range and style as Smite and Discipline, just less effective because less often firing. I don't get the thought process here. I understand if you had reduced the range maybe to 900. Okay, because then they still have their own little bubble in which they play. And they can't quite fire over entire maps. Or let's be generous towards Pixonic and say 800 meters range. At least it would still be in their own space. And then the damage should not have been increased. Maybe the damage could have gone down, minus 10%, range 900 meters, for example, you know? I think that would have been an okay thing. Or leaving the damage as it is, just no damage change at all, and going with 900 meters range. I think it would have been okay. It would not have destroyed the weapon, right? It would have been still useful. It would still do pretty much the same thing, just not quite from a different universe, right? It's just, maybe you can reach it in some way if you just step closer to it. But 600 meters is too much of a change. Basically, it takes away what made the weapon attractive. And I hate something like this. Snare, Skadi, and Hail increase the freeze accumulation 5%. What a ridiculous thing to even mention. Increased damage by 8%, so I'm not even going to talk about that. Increased damage of Claw, Jaw, Talon. I made a video yesterday where I called those the worst weapons of 2025. This damage change is a joke. It used to have a fire rate, I think, similar. I think, you know what happened to Claw, Jaw, Talon? What happened to it was a good weapon before when it came out, and then it got the same thing as Howler, Screamer, Growler now. It lost 50% of its fire rate back then. And from that moment, it just lost 50% damage output. And now it's basically the worst weapon of 2025 in my book, or one of the worst weapons. And so you see what happens with Screamer and Growler now, right? Just to get back to what's happening here. These weapons are this bad, literally. And now they give it a 7% buff back. It's sad. It's very sad. 20% would have been the minimum that you need to give it back to even make it remotely interesting to consider as an option. 7%, it's no option. Nobody will consider running these weapons, period. They're dead. They're completely dead. And Howler, Screamer, Growler might not be completely dead just yet. They will, in the next phase, they will probably nerf the ammo capacity because now it fires slower. So it basically fires forever because it keeps the same ammo capacity, right? That you unload to half as fast, so you fire forever. And next phase, nerf comes in and reduces the ammo capacity by 30%. Watch. I'm giving you this right now, and I'm thinking this is gonna happen. And then what will happen is the weapon is just as dead as Claw, Jaw, and Talon is now. Scald, Scorcher, Incinerator, increased damage from explosion, 6%. Wow, okay. Cudgel, Mace, Hammer, reduced projectile dispersion, minus 6%. So they're more accurate, okay. Increased bomb blast accumulation by 5%. I mean, it's a small buff to the weapon. It's an okay buff. I see why they want to do it, because the weapon isn't really good. And it's good that Pixonic actually considers weapons underperforming to be low. You know, let's give something. It's just that the buffs are always so small, like with Jaw, Claw, Talon, that, you know, it's not going to make anybody reconsider running them. If you really want somebody to consider putting them back into the meta, or I wouldn't even call it meta, but back into a hangar somewhere, then this isn't gonna cut it. Xephos Labris, Cestus 10% more damage. Spear damage bonus from consecutive shots goes up again. From first shot, 100% damage. Second shot, 130% damage. Third shot, 190% damage. It goes up back to higher numbers. 100% damage first shot, 160% instead of 130 for the second shot. 220% for the third instead of 190. Okay, big difference. But remember that the fourth shot, number 4, three. I think it did 400% damage back in the days. 400%. And the second, I believe, already did 200%. So this is what the original spear looked like. And it had a fire rate increased. I think it had an increased fire rate and did basically double the damage of what we have seen here in the last time. What a crazy difference from how it was implemented, right? Pixonic in a nutshell. Now it goes a little back up. It's gonna be good. I will give it a try, and we'll see this in a video, by the way. If you like the news update and you want to see all of those things also, stay tuned, subscribe, please. Would be cool. Fainter, reduce shot interval from 0.15 to 0.13. Increase damage. So they take the fire rate down, but increase the damage in a similar level. So no change whatsoever. Fainter, a weapon that basically reloads all the time and has no more damage output. What you need to do with Fainter, Pixonic, in case you're listening, what you need to do with Fainter is like a 30%, maybe even 50% fire, like reload increase speed. That really needs to happen with Fainter to make it come back to being chosen as a weapon by anybody. Let's start with 30%. You know, 30% faster reload and see how, if it helps the weapon even. Maybe it's not even enough. Just my 2 cents on that. Titan weapons. Anguisher Ruiner. Oh, here it comes. Increase damage over time from 400 to 600 per second. Reduce damage 30%. Boom! 30% of your damage output is gone. Which, by the way, probably you won't even feel that too much because the weapon damage output is so insane. But 30% just gone. Bye-bye, 30%. Increased horizontal particle dispersion. So the spread is increased by 25% horizontally and vertically by 33%. So you lose 30% damage flat out, and then you lose another 30% or 28% in spread of your damage if the target isn't directly in front of your weapons. So basically we're talking about a damage loss of 50% unless you really stick your weapon into the enemy. And the dot duration is reduced from 10 seconds to 4 seconds. So that completely kills any increase that it listed here before. So we're talking a complete 100% nerf of the weapons, or basically let's say 40% damage nerf altogether, maybe 40 to 50% less effective. That's literally the numbers that they nerfed. Okay, Vindicatore, damage increased 20%, but reload time increased from 6 to 15. Bye bye Vindicatore. It is in the same category as Tonans and what's the other one that used to be run on the Newton Titan? Tonans and the other one. That are basically completely useless now because you spent all your time reloading, one quick shot, and then back to reloading forever, and you have no more damage per minute. So basically, you don't want to run this weapon anymore. And the same thing happens with Vindicatore. You no longer want to run the weapon, not even to 12 seconds. So it's not even a 100% increase in reload time. It's 130 seconds. No, 150 seconds. Percent, sorry. The reload speed is increased by 100, or the reload time increased by 150%. So your damage per minute is basically from 100% what it was before, down to about 40%. What's 100%, 50% increase reverse from 100% to the other direction? 50% would be 100. So it's like what? 30%? You basically do only 30% of the damage per minute over the entire match that you did before. So this weapon is literally dead. It's literally dead. Same as Tonans is at the other one that I can't remember the name of. Dead. Bye-bye. Gone. Again, if you have invested into these weapons, if you spent money for this, please, my friends, learn from that. Do not do that anymore to yourselves. Save yourself from this disappointment that War Robots is in these type of situations, okay? The game, don't get me wrong, the game can be fun. In many aspects, the game can be fun. But not if you get hit by this. It just takes the fun back out. Inferno and Pyro, the flamethrowers, decrease time before the weapon starts cooling off by 1 second, and damage reduced minus 25%. What a freaking nerf. Holy smokes. The weapon only has 300 meters range, I think. Or 350. Really, really low range on these weapons. So that already is a massive disadvantage. Basically, you don't want to run these weapons because you cannot reach the other Titan that shoots back at you with more damage output and more range. You can't even defend yourself. And now even if you get in range to defend yourself, you do almost no damage anymore. This is crazy. Why nerf a weapon that is so weak to begin with compared to other weapons that have way more range and dominance due to that? It makes zero sense to me. Tumultus Discordia, increased reload interval from 1 to 2. So the weapons that basically did almost no damage before, at least they could fire almost indefinitely because they reloaded so fast for that. Now, they reload half as fast. So you'll actually fire empty the weapons and then you have absolutely zero damage output. These weapons were basically already not be used before. People have stopped using them before, even though they were continuously firing, because the damage output of the projectiles has been nerfed so much before. And now they nerfed the revolve interval, which I mean, remember, when I say their nerfs come in phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and this might be phase 2 or 3 for Tumultus and Discordia, basically killing the weapon completely now. Now there is absolutely no reason whatsoever to put them on any Titan anymore. Bye-bye, GG. My mood is slipping. Bulava and Kisten increased splash radius from 7.5 to 10 meters. That's good. And increased damage by 10%. That's good. I want to test them with this. Because these weapons, you almost never saw them. Because, you know, let's face it, freaking Discipline and the other one, what's it called? Smite and Discipline were doing much more damage than the Titan, Bulava, and Kisten. What a joke is that, by the way, you know? What the heck is going on with you, War Robots? And these weapons are still probably doing less damage than Discipline and Smite, even after, well, the damage has been increased, but the reload time has been increased, like now. Okay, so, Grum and Squall. Wow, this is a long list, my friends. I'm sorry, the video is really long, but we have to keep you updated. Grum and Squall reduced reload time from 16 to 13 seconds and from 24 to 21 seconds on these weapons. That's good, and the damage has been increased to 12 seconds. Still weak, though, compared to all other weapons. The energy shotguns are much more powerful. That came together with the Indra Titan, I think. Drones. Pascal drone. Increased the amount of gray durability repaired on threshold fix from 7 to 8% when fully upgraded. The on-kill assist bonus damage ability is replaced with a new mechanic. Pascal will provide a 10% bonus damage as long as the robot has heavy armor plates. What? They kill the Pascal drone, basically make it useless for you unless you run it on the Curie robot. What? It's a Curie-only drone now. So you will no longer have the option to run this drone on any of your robots because now the effectiveness is basically halved for it unless you run it on the Curie. This is such a ridiculous thing to do. This is such a... This is hateful. This is absolute hateful. Pixonic hates you. players. It hates the fact that you can utilize something that is no longer sold and still enjoy it. They hate this. They need to change this so much that they even go and take the drone entirely. Remember the other drone, the Kestrel drone, that used to be a drone that you can use across all your robots, and after changing it, it was a stealth robot only use. How often are you using the Kestrel drone nowadays on looking at all the robots you have? You use it on, if you're not using the Showdown drone on your Crisis robot, then you might be probably using the Kestrel drone. Or the new Regulator version drone thingy. But this is absolutely awful. Pixonic, you're horrible. If you were a person, I would call you a horrible person for this. Because this is really not okay. This is not okay. People have bought this drone knowing that how a drone functions and what it does. Revert this change immediately. I'm telling you, change that back. This is not okay. This, everything you have is coming from your player base, and this is something that slaps them in the face. These type of things go past just nerfing performance. This goes past reducing the effectiveness of something that you have nerfed. This basically deletes something from the game that people have bought. This is not even not okay. This is an absolutely awful thing to do, and you have to revert that back. This has to go back. And then reduce the amount of defense points on threshold from 100 to 50. 50% less durability effectiveness on that as well. I wanted to see this changed, Pixonic. I'm serious about this. This has to go back. There is no way you can pull off things like that. Seeker drone. Reduce the quantum sensor radius from 350 to 250 meters when fully upgraded. You will no longer be able to see stealth units to 350 meters range. This was a very, very popular drone because of that passive quantum sensor. By the way, note, we also fixed the bug that allowed counterblind to activate every 5 seconds instead of 20 seconds as stated in the ability description. Note, we nerfed your counter blinding by 75%, but we don't call it a nerf because it was a bug. It was bugged that it was so good before, and now we just fixed the problem. Alright, so it's not a nerf then, right? It's not a nerf, it's just bug fixing. I'm glad to see you bug fixing things that people are using. Good. Very nice, good bug fix. And this is, in case you haven't noticed, this is this is sarcastic. This is a clear nerf of the Seeker drone because we're all loving that drone and we're running it. And this is phase 1 of the nerfs, right? So what's the next one, Pixonic? What comes next? The quantum sensor will only work when you run it on... What was the Seeker drone implemented with? Which robot? Must have been a stealth robot, I assume. With the Lynx, maybe? Did it come with a Lynx robot? I don't remember. So next change, the Seeker drone will only run the quantum sensor on the Lynx robot or something like this. These things are unacceptable, Pixonic. And a second phase nerf would be unacceptable too. And this is unacceptable. Shade drone, increase the amount of defense points provided by on damage done defense. +2 per 150,000 damage. I'm sorry, I don't understand what this means. Increase bonus to movement speed on low durability speed from 7 to 9. Okay, so when you're on low durability, you get a higher speed increase. And when you're on damage done, so when you did damage before, you got defense points, and that is increased +2. Okay, plus every 2 damage, you get the 150,000. Okay, I get it now. Last stand will now activate at 80% durability instead of 35. Alright, okay, I see why. This makes sense, because the 35 was too close to the regular last stand, depending on which level it... Actually, hold on, there's no levels and modules anymore. It was too close to the regular last stand, maybe. And also, people couldn't really tell that you have a second last stand, because both of the same level. Now it's earlier. Alright, okay. I think it's actually a good change here. Although it's it's not really a buff or anything. Reduce the eye on the drone shooting death mark. Reduce cooldown from 20 to 17 seconds. Increase built-in weapon damage plus 10%. Okay, so little to no change. Persephone drone. Increase the amount of durability repaired by the drone from 800 to 900 when you hit a friend with it. I've always considered this drone to be the most useless drone in the game. It heals almost nothing and it still does that, and I don't know why it shouldn't just heal actual amounts of HP now. It could, for example, you could give it the ability to heal gray HP. So you could have, for example, here's a buff that would actually make a difference, Pixonic. Persephone. Increase the amount of durability repaired by the Persephone's heal from 800 to 2000. Increase and added gray HP restored by Persephone drone from 0 to 1000. So it heals twice as much regular HP and it heals 1000 gray HP with every shot. Imagine how long you have to focus a friend and just do nothing useful for your team but to look at your buddy and just heal him with that drone. Remember, you're not fighting anybody. You might be capturing a beacon at the same time, but other than that, you're doing nothing useful for your team in a team-based game, Pixonic. You're looking at your friend, wasting time, trying to heal him up with basically 0 healing done. If you would give it a gray HP restore and at least 2000 healing per hit, you know, maybe you're actually healing somebody when you're wasting your time now. It's never made sense to me, this drone. I don't understand how they implemented it this way. Nebula drone. Increase the duration of absorber from high damage absorber from 1 to 2 seconds. The Nebula drone. Okay, so you get a 2-second absorber shield when you take high amounts of damage. Interesting. I might have to try this. You know, remember the drone did, or this used to be a passive thing that came up like 5 seconds or so. You had that absorber shield, and you had that like every 7 seconds. So you had a 2-second time window in which you could do damage back in those days with the absorber meta. And now they're bringing it from 1 to 2 back. Okay, increased amount of durability repaired by unfixed to plus 7%. It's still not gonna be a good drone, but we can try it out. Pilot, stealth from the Dux robot. Stealth from the Puppet Master ability will now only last 5 seconds instead of, I think, what was it before? 10 seconds or even 12, the full durability duration? I don't know. The fact that this robot, not even being a stealth robot, had the better stealth ability than any other stealth robot in the game just shows what's wrong with your game, Pixonic. How much you are willing to break it to make sales. It's so sad, really. It's so sad. It should have never got more than 3 seconds to begin with from the pilot. It's just a passive pilot skill. How good should that be? On a robot that's already breaking the game on so many levels. And then having this stealth to be so stupid. Sorry, but it was stupid. And 5 seconds now instead of 12 or 10 before. It's a necessary change, but only because you have been this stupid to make it this way in the first place. I'm sorry to say it like this, but it was really stupid from my point of view. Somebody who looks at health of the game rather than making the maximum amount of profit of every sale. And driving people away from your game with every single one of those people that are getting sacrificed, getting hit by these way overpowered things. You're losing players. So keep that in mind while you're making money with your sales, that you're losing player base at the same time. So is it really that much money gained? Yeah? Or would it maybe be useful to make things more interesting and maybe slightly more powerful, but make it long lasting and you know, without having to put in nerfs like that drive your players off. Okay, motherships. Avalon, oh god, here comes something bad. The Avalon battleship, I'm using it. Increase the amount of green durability restored from 10 to 15%. Reduce the amount of gray durability restored from 15 to 7%. So no longer restoring so much gray HP. Reduce the amount of cleanse stacks applied from 15 to 5. 5 cleansing stacks. So you spend 3 minutes charging your battleship. Then you can give yourself a cleansing effect that lasts only 5 effects now. That is a from 300% to 100%. It's basically a 66% nerf because the cleanse effect was what we really needed about the Avalon Battleship. Remember that the Avalon Battleship was not a game-breaking battleship, Pixonic. It was a battleship that allowed you to enjoy the game without constantly getting hit by stupid negative effect garbage that happens all over the place. This is insane. The game is packed to the brim with negative garbage effects that affect you all the time. No matter what shoots you, some kind of stupid effect is always in there. Lockdown, suppression, or EMPs, or whatever. Everything does it passively nowadays. And the only way to save yourself, to enjoy the game freely and smoothly without constantly being locked and suppressed and annoyed, was to run that battleship. And it was not an offensive battleship that took the enemy HP away, destroyed his robot, or ruined his day. You know, it just allowed you to defensively at least ignore all this garbage of annoying effects. This is a necessary battleship to have in the game. To sacrifice an offensive damage output for being able to enjoy smoothly, have a smooth gaming experience, and just ignore all those garbage effects. It was an absolute fair trade, right? You just got something defensive for it that'll help you enjoy the game more. And now they reduced this one thing that made the battleship useful in the first place, by 66.6%. 5. Why not reduce it down to 12 or something? Or maybe 10? Why do you reduce it to 5? What is wrong with you guys? Do you not understand what this item, this battleship, what it was, why it has been there in the first place? This is why people play this. This is why I equipped the Avalon Battleship. I don't need to destroy an enemy crisis robot with a button press from a battleship that shoots a laser that follows you anywhere and kills you no matter what you do. I have skills in the game. I don't need a cheater battleship to destroy my enemies in 1,000 meters distance. It is fine with me if I have a battleship that just protects my free movement on the map. And this is too much to ask. It's too much to ask to be able to freely move around the map without getting freaking locked down and suppressed every 3 seconds. That is too much to ask now. Revert that change immediately. Down to 12 maybe. 5. What is wrong with you guys? Now my mood is done. Beholder Battleship. Increased damage 20%. I don't even know which one this is. I haven't run this in a while. There's some bug fixes that I don't even care about now because I see something about the rock and you might care about it, so I'm gonna do my job as a content creator for you. Fix an issue where the Rook's physical shield would sometimes fail to restore after using shield replacement. Remember when I played the Rook, I've noticed that, and we've all noticed it during the video. Fix a negative status icon not appearing next to enemy robots. Fixed instant Titan upgrades not being counted in tasks. Fixed no ability icon for Chongwei drone in description. Great. Fix Kestrel's description. Oh yeah, probably because it still had a description that told you to use this and enjoy this drone, when really you couldn't enjoy this drone. Unless you run something on a stealth robot, maybe. Fixed Retro Revenant's legs facing the wrong direction in the hangar? Really? That was okay. Dang it, I didn't see that. I want to see it. Fix duplicate clan tags appearing in clan table. Fix an issue causing infinite loading when leaving a squad after a match. Fix inaccurate projectile targeting for duck spots built in weapons. Okay. So, to summarize this, there's a lot of anti-player things in here to upset your player base, Pixonic. But there are some critical things in here that should be removed, because it exposes you as being a scam company, Pixonic. It literally exposes you for being scammers with your player base. Do you want to be scammers, for God's sake? One of those things has to be the range on Hurricane and Dune. You're taking away what made people buy this in the first place. A nerf can be a nerf, but taking away what made it a sell in the first place is wrong. 900 meters should be the minimum that the weapon has, so that it can still kind of at least do the function that it had before. And keep the damage away, like leave it how it is. You don't need to increase the damage, but the range is what made the weapon attractive in the first place. The second absolute no-go is hold on. Is where is it? Weapons. Howler Screamer. The interval of your Howler Screamer Growler is way too high now. The fire rate. The damage output shrinking by 50% is too much of a nerf. Maybe increase the shot interval from 0.65 to 1.0, but not to twice as high, right? Then, the drone. Vendicatore, increased reload time, has to be changed. Make it from 6 to 10 seconds. Maybe 11. Nah, not 11, 10 seconds. That is a massive increase in reload time. It is a massive loss of damage per minute. But 15, that's 150%. Are you out of your goddamn minds? 6 to 10 seconds is insane. That is an insane nerf. 15 is unacceptable. 10 seconds, revert that instantly back to 10 seconds. And what was the other thing that needed to be changed that I said earlier? I'm thinking, sorry guys, I am thinking about this. There was something else that I talked about before that needed to be changed. It might be this, maybe it was this, or maybe I'm overlooking something, but I was on a different point, I think, before, where I also said this has to be changed. Also here, Tumultus and Discordia. Think about it, guys. People don't even want to run it anymore. The Pyro and Inferno is an awful weapon. It has, the range itself is such a crazy disadvantage, you just don't want to run this. Reducing the damage by 25%. And here another nerf. Unbelievable. And, here it is. The drones for the Pascal drone. That part. This part. Absolutely unacceptable. You cannot take something completely away from players. That's not even a nerf. That is deleting the item from the game. You're deleting something from the game that people have bought from you. How dare you? Freaking scam is what it is. So yeah, sorry, my mood is gone at the end of the match, at the end of this whole thing. But honestly, I thought it was gonna get even worse. But yeah, I got you up to date here, friends. Tell me what you think. What's the thing that hits you the most? And please do not buy anything from these scammers anymore. And I would not want to call you scammers, Pixonic, because I know you technically are also making a game that is very enjoyable in many aspects. But there are 3 scams, at least 3 or 4, let's say 3 scams in this list. And you know it is. You know they are. They're scams. We can't sugarcoat this. They're literally scams. To nerf something that people have bought from you is already bad enough. To make it weaker and make it less, that itself could be considered a scam. But I'm not going there. But there are 2 or 3 things here that are really scams. And please do not be scammers, Pixonic. Please fix those things where I told you need to be changed. So my feedback at the end. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video, and Manni signing off. Bye bye, my friends.